So we left Savannah with a little bit of a cliffhanger.
It was actually a substantial mechanical failure. Now we get to tell you about it, so stay tuned.
Staying on the path that I've chosen, straight up. Come my way and I'll see you at the top. 'Cause something's gonna happen in this story, and I can feel it coming, like the rising of the sun. Straight up.
So we had a wonderful stay in Savannah, and we timed our departure for kind of the turning of the tide when it was slack, so we wouldn't have to push current getting out of the Savannah River. I'm coming up after we leave the dock. I put away all the fenders and lines, and I come up to what looks like a murder scene.
Yeah, so as we're pulling around and spinning into the main river channel, and this is a busy river channel full of ships and a river boat and tour boats and ferries and a lot of traffic on this river channel, and I'm getting us navigated down, pointed back down river. I look down and I think, oh crap, I cut myself. There is blood spilling everywhere. It's like coming down below me. That was my first thought. And then I realized, no, it's not me bleeding, it's the boat. It's actually coming out of the steering wheel, and particularly anytime I steer, more red hydraulic fluid would spill out. So this is not a good place to lose steerage on your boat, is pulling out into a major shipping channel.
It's not a good place anywhere, but this is particularly not good.
But fortunately, we didn't panic. We didn't have, I knew exactly what it was. It's like, oh, this is a steering seal failure.
And we actually, this lower helm one had failed on our sea trial, so we kind of knew what it looked like.
Yes.
And we knew it wasn't a big deal to fix.
Well, we knew that it was an estimate $500 to $1,000 fix that the prior owner took care of before we took possession of Why Not. So that's about all we knew, is that it can be fixed and there's a problem. And so we immediately figured out, like, okay, we want to get to shore, get docked again to assess the situation. So there was another big city dock that was basically right where we were going by, and we made plans that let's just get over there. There's a big, giant, empty dock, and I was able to... since I didn't trust steering, I didn't know if I was going to lose steering at any moment, so I didn't. And anytime I touched the steering wheel, more red would spill out, more blood.
And we had no clue how it might have impacted the lower helm.
Lower helm either. So I used the differential engines, basically used the engines to steer, and we got docked.
I got all the lines and fenders redeployed, the ones I've just taken up.
Yeah, and we're like, okay, catch our breath. This is a nice early morning. It's a Thursday morning, and we're like, what are we going to do next?
Okay, but we also had big storms that were brewing, and
that afternoon, yes.
And we wanted to be someplace a little more protected than on the edge of this huge river, which was already bashing enough with all the big ships coming and going. Right. The storms would have made it a little worse.
So this was our dramatic re-arrival back in Savannah, and we sat down and said, okay, we stopped and we spent some time doing some research of is this something that I can fix myself? And if so, where on earth are we going to get the necessary parts and tools on a Thursday in Savannah? I also gave a call to Hinckley Yacht Services, which is a marina that we had stayed at 5 years earlier.
We had a whole bunch of work done on Why Not there in 2019.
and Hinckley called back and said, oh, yeah, that's pretty serious. You're definitely going to need our professional help with this one. Don't try to tackle it on your own. Let us call you back. We're going to see if we can get you in to our docks. We were completely full, but maybe you can come back. Because Hinckley's only would have been about an hour backtracking a little bit of a ways, but not, in range, Thunderbolt.
Assuming we could steer to get
Assuming
there.
we could steer. So first thing did is I depressurized and repressurized the steering system and did some experimentation and some reading, and was able to determine that this lower helm was still working just fine, as was the autopilot.
No leaking going on to the upper helm. It was totally independent, and not impacted.
Yeah, the system was holding pressure. As long as you didn't turn the wheel on the upper helm, everything else was fine. So we're like, okay, we can still maneuver the boat. Have not done a whole lot of driving inside other than while avoiding flies. Had never tried to dock from inside here before. But it's like, okay, at least we can maneuver, and Hinckley is going to call us back, and we'll see if we can do professional stuff.
Weigh the options. But meanwhile, he's researching more. Hinckley is not calling back in a timely fashion. So we're sitting there on the dock. Okay, what do we do? And the steering pump, the company that makes it, is no longer in
it's a Hynotic, is what is in a lot of boats of this era.
H50 model?
Ours is a 52, but HN 52 or H52. But yeah, these seals fail, and it is actually quickly determined that it is not that big of a deal. Well, depending on who you ask, some sources online say it is a big deal. Definitely ship your pump out to be professionally rebuilt. Don't try to do this yourself. You'll just end up shipping off a bunch of parts. And other sources say, really, it's not that big of a deal. So I'm like, well, maybe it's not that big of a deal, but can I get the parts? And well, the company's out of business. You can't actually get the official part anymore.
And there's like some sources are saying, oh, just go to all these different hydraulic shops and you can eventually piece together all the O-rings that you need to rebuild the kit. And you might need trial and error and going back and forth.
Yeah, but then I found, I think it was rebuildkits.com, which basically puts together kits of parts needed to rebuild old things and sells them on their website and on Amazon. And they had a kit for the Hynotic pumps, steering pumps, which is the part inside the steering wheel.
$29.
$29 on Amazon. Yay! Can we get it delivered immediately to Savannah? No, it would have been until Saturday delivery.
So 2 nights sitting at the dock with the storm coming.
And no power.
No power. Yeah, because this dock did not have power.
Right.
Which we could have made that work.
Yep.
Hinckley did call back. They were not able to get us onto their dock
until the next
Friday.
Friday
maybe.
Maybe. And
then we still had this big storm coming in. So he was feeling confident enough that we'd be able to rebuild this pump on our own. With some YouTube University.
Yep. And so we took and we decided to let's go find an anchorage that would still be within range if we did decide after another night of research to double back to Hinckley, but let's get there before the storms. And we went to basically Defuski Island.
South River anchorage. Nice, big, huge, wide open anchorage.
South New River. Yes.
South New River, yep. Where we could put a lot of scope for this big storm, this blow coming in.
And we got the anchor down just in time.
With 10 minutes to spare before the wind started kicking.
Something wicked this way comes. Big storm. And, hey, no steering wheel. Had an adventurous day, Cherie.
Oh yeah, and now we're gonna have a tornado. I'm gonna make dinner.
You know, you gotta do everything at once on a boat. I'm grilling. Storm's 4 miles away. Steering wheel is off. That's why we have 2. And here we go.
It wasn't that big of a deal. It actually turned out to be...
I think we saw gusts in close to 40.
Yeah, but it only lasted 10, 15 minutes. Yeah. It wasn't this long extended storm. Mm-hmm. But we're there, we're settled. You're continuing to research because we knew that we were going to be talking with Hinckley in the morning and we needed to make a decision. Are we continuing north or...
Yeah, so basically the decision is, do we try to order this part, have it meet us in Charleston, our next planned major stop, several days away, or do we consider going to Hinckley the next day, which then they would let a mechanic look at it. They'd already told us they probably don't have the parts in stock, so we're thinking at least over the weekend and then into the next week before it gets fixed.
Or no, before we even find out what their plan of action was going to be. Would they rebuild it? Would they just buy a rebuilt pump?
Yeah.
And we're looking, okay, this is going to be at least a week stuck in Savannah, which is not a bad place to be stuck in.
But Thunderbolt is not where we've already been there, done that in Thunderbolt. We don't want to be stuck in Thunderbolt again.
We also even looked at maybe having the parts shipped and meet us at an Amazon locker, in Beaufort.
Beaufort.
Or something like that. But we went ahead and ordered it to go to Charleston because we already had that marina booked for a week, so we knew that would give us plenty of time.
And a shipping address.
The challenge would be that we would be arriving to a tricky docking situation where he wouldn't be able to see. That was going to be interesting.
Yes, and it was, we mentioned in prior video about driving inside of the flies. We're like, this isn't really that bad. Maybe we'll actually start driving in here more. We didn't expect the issue to be forced on us, but it gave us the excuse to actually kind of clean and organize and make this pilot house into a proper place
it
to
helps.
chill for Kiki and Cherie and myself, and to drive. And we actually, for the first time since we've owned the boat, have made this room what it was meant to be.
Yeah. I can't believe we actually have a clean pilot house.
Fitness center. It's a pilot house, not a pilot house right now. And a fitness center.
And an Admiral's ready room.
Oh, most important task. And a
So
weapon.
it's actually been very pleasant to be down here, especially when the biting flies are outside. Cruise underway. So after we left Afuski in the morning, and then we went up to Pinnaky Island. I think it's how it's pronounced.
Hilton, the Hilton Head Sound with the waves and stuff.
Yeah, it was. We had a following sea coming in. Another little storm had kicked up and got the chop up, and it was a little swelly. It was a little uncomfortable at times. So we decided to go ahead and duck into Pinnaky Island, which we have anchored off of twice before. It's a beautiful location.
Yeah, and there's some land access with some trails, so we got ashore, got a nice hike in to decompress a little bit, and it's just a beautiful place, and it's a good place to wait out the blustery wind to plan our next morning crossing.
Right, so we had considered going back to Beaufort, I forget which is which. One's North Carolina, one's South Carolina.
Yeah, the South Carolina one.
Yeah, but we have stopped there twice before. It is a darling city. It is worth a stop if you're cruising up and down the ICW. We just weren't feeling it of going back to it again.
Crazy hair, just don't care.
I'm so glad you're into the windswept look.
We got the rear camera going here.
So nothing behind me. Nothing on radar.
The pilot house is turning into quite the nice little station.
It's nice to have it be a pilot house and not a pilot house.
And it's also still Admiral's Ready Room and nap room. Here we are.
Fitness room.
And fitness room. Everything in this room, even though there's no flies today. But that's because
There's no help.
the steering wheel is down here. Yes. The upstairs steering wheel is downstairs.
And I never realized how much bigger this one was than that one.
So that next night, you had found Fenwick Cut. So the important point here, this is a Saturday evening, and he is committed to running every Sunday, which means we absolutely must have land access every Sunday, because he's not going to run much here on the boat.
I could do a lot of laps, but I usually need to get at least
a mile.
I haven't missed 5K on a Sunday in 2 years now, so it's been.
So you've upped it to 5K.
Well, I just it have to run on a Sunday, so I'm always keeping my eye out on where we could anchor on a Saturday night, so that there's a place to run on Sunday. And so I found this very little kind of this one anchorage note mentioned, hey, and you can get ashore at Fenwick State Park. And
State Park.
Well, that's what that's why I started Googling. It's like Fenwick State Park. The only Fenwick State Park's up in like Rhode Island, and so I eventually was able to figure out what this was referring to, and it's land that was bought by the Nature Conservancy and then given to the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources, and it's just an old island that has maintained trails on it and no people.
So how is this island older than other islands?
Okay, the island is not older than other islands, but it was a beautiful place to anchor next to this island. And we got ashore. We went ashore on Saturday night, went for a wonderful hike around it to scope out the island.
Got chased by an armadillo.
Got chased by an armadillo and saw some
beautiful nesting bird sanctuary out there. Just really pretty.
And we literally had this entire island to ourselves. We were the only boat there anchored. They have a nice little state-run dinghy dock, but nothing on the island at all. So
well, there's some old dilapidated buildings, a fallen down windmill, and 3 kind
of like
primitive campsites.
Yeah, and a couple private property like fish camp houses and stuff, but no other humans while we were there. And so we came back on Sunday morning, got our run in, which was good. And then we decided we wanted to get a little bit closer to Charleston to stage for our arrival so we can arrive at slack good time.
And there was more storms coming in.
Storms.
So our arrival was supposed to be Tuesday, and that was going to be a very stormy day in the forecast. We called Charleston Maritime Center on Sunday and got permission to come in Monday evening and stay on their fuel dock after they closed for business. So okay.
That'll
Okay,
get
so
us-
sure, we can try docking on our own from the pilot house with no visibility and no one on. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we could do this, but at least we're not going to have to try and arrive in the storms on Tuesday. And actually, looking at the wind and weather, it was going to be, if we didn't arrive on Monday, it might not be good to arrive and
Until
dock
Thursday.
until Thursday. So we're like, we got an incentive to get there on Monday. So we decided to come closer to Charleston and went to a Church Creek anchorage,
Which we've been to before.
and beautiful place.
No land access, but it is lovely and it's nice and protected.
Yep. And a big anchorage, room for a lot of boats. And then set up the next morning to...
Right. So we called Charleston Maritime Center again in the morning because they said, confirm with the
Dockmaster.
the real dockmaster. And we called and they said, yeah, come. They originally said you have to be here after 6 after they close because the fuel dock is contracted for use. And whoever answered the phone said, yeah, come in at 3.
3 is the ideal time. Come in at 3.
Like, are you sure? Because they said 6 yesterday. I would much rather arrive when there's staff there and can help us with the line.
Yeah, they're like, we'll be ready for you at 3. We can help catch you, get you docked. And so this is great. So we got there because there was actually a storm front coming in 5 or 6 o'clock. So we would have been arriving at the beginning of that arriving storm. So we're like, yes, great. Let's get us in before. But this was challenging. So as we mentioned, we had no view from in the pilot house. It's great for going forward, but you can't see to your sides or rear very well. So we had set up, you got the camera right here. Yes.
Yeah.
We have a Garmin Verb that we actually used to use for time-lapse videos that we
Remember that old series we did?
Yeah. This little thing here, Garmin Verb that
ties in with the
action camera.
MFDs.
And it actually speaks over Wi-Fi to our Garmin chart plotters, and you can use this as a remote camera and view it right on with your charts and stuff. So I set this up, mounted it on the back of the boat, and set it up as a rear view camera.
Worked great while we were underway. So it's great so we could actually see if there are boats approaching us. We would see them on radar, and then you could see them, and we could say, oh, this is the large one that's going to wake us. Oh, this one's no problem.
Yeah. So up here, our rear view mirror was had radar to see what was coming up, and then just flip over to the camera view to see. Watch it and everything, and I was like, this will be good. This will be backing up into the fuel dock and Charleston Maritime Center. Should be a lot easier because I could just look down and see. But right as we were getting to the marina, this started to glitch out and actually would have. So we're coming in. They're on shore. This would freeze frame, which is actually worse than no video at all. So I look down and I'm like. Yeah, the freeze frame is worse than anything. Freeze, gone. Yeah, need a better camera system. The dock and directions, but then it would freeze for 5 seconds at a time. I'm guessing because this is old 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, I'm guessing there's just so much Wi-Fi congestion in the marina that the signal just kept dropping and it turned into useless.
So we had actually had put on our bicycling helmets for this. Because
we thought ahead of this.
Because they had intercoms on them, and usually if we're docking, we're usually able to communicate pretty well. But with him being inside and being visually challenged, because he's up on deck, you can hear better,
and you can see in all directions.
And inside, so we did the intercoms. We look like complete dorks wearing bicycle helmets. We look like complete pros coming in to this marina, ready for crash.
All right.
Echo.
We are ready for docking. Safety first, intercom second.
And we didn't crash, but it was a little bit of a challenging docking. The dockmaster said he said came inches from crunching our swim platform, but I had to. It was kind of like the use the force Luke moment, because like once the video went out, then the targeting computer is gone. All I could do is hear Cherie's voice relaying what the dockmaster is saying from the back of the boat.
And then I'm trying to determine, do I need him in the front of the boat? Where's the line going to go on that we're going to try to get secured in? And this marina has cross current in it. They really prefer that they come out and dock you, because your boat will just veer off to one side with this cross current, even at slack.
Yeah, well, and we were arriving to beat the storm, so we were arriving at kind of the peak of that cross current. So suboptimal conditions, but we were trying to beat the storm. And hey, we did it.
We did
got
it.
docked with our dorky helmets on, and we arrived in Charleston and back to the place where we had stopped our loop previously.
So yeah, we enjoyed Charleston. We stayed there a week, actually.
They gave us a free day because of a snafu around the scheduling. So 8 days,
with
8
the
nights.
storm, someone else extended into our site, so we were on the field dock for 2 nights. Thankfully, they didn't need it because of the storm, so it all worked out. It got very, very rough there in Charleston Harbor. We were doing like that in the marina. It is not a calm marina, but it is a fabulous location because you are just steps from the old town area to go do everything in downtown Charleston. And there's a Harry Teeter's grocery store like 2 blocks away for provisioning, so it's fantastic. But we had been in Charleston the same exact place 5 years prior for a month. And during that month, we did just about every touristy thing you can do. So this time we have felt no call to do anything. I mean, we kind of reviewed everything. It's like, no, we didn't miss anything this time.
Well, and part of the reason we had scheduled a week in Charleston was this was going to be our designated work week where we have a lot of work calls and other things that we were doing, and it just so happened a bunch of other things like Starlink doubled their global plan prices, and we had a lot of work scheduled, and well, now we had a steering pump rebuild to handle, and the parts were there waiting for us.
So we basically just enjoyed being
in the heart of an awesome city.
Having great places to walk, to go biking,
to eat.
Great places to eat. So many good restaurants. We have Kiki sushi is right there, which is just fabulous. Thai Zap on Meeting Street was fantastic. Lewis Barbecue. Our friend Daniel Pentecost came down and joined us for an afternoon, and
took us to his favorite barbecue place.
We took him.
Well, yes,
but he recommended it.
His recommendation, and oh my God, yeah, it's the best barbecue you might find outside of Texas. Best Texas style barbecue you might find.
It was fabulous.
Really
so yeah, we just enjoyed being downtown. We did take the bikes over, what's the name of
the Ravenel Bridge. We rode over the bridge twice, both times. Once for smoothies and Trader Joe's, and the second time for white duck tacos and Trader Joe's. So when we'd load the panniers up and come back with all the groceries we would want from Trader Joe's.
So that was really nice. But mostly it was, work and getting the pump fixed. And what was fixing the pump like?
So fixing the pump was, it is definitely doable, but it is a challenging project. Like all things on a boat, getting it disassembled sometimes is more than half the battle. Getting the pump cracked open, we don't have a vise on board. Just worked out is I didn't have enough leverage without a vise to break these bolts on the bottom of the steering. But I just remounted the steering upside down onto the dash, and mounted in place, I do have enough leverage to break these bolts and open this up. So, trick for doing this without having a vise on board, just remount it to your dash upside down and work on it there. And victory! Got this part out. So, those 3 seals there need to be replaced, but those are not the critical ones. Those are the O-rings for how this pump drives. I gotta get the shaft out and get the shaft seal, and that's where the main leak is. Eventually got it open, got it disassembled, got all the internals cleaned, reassembled. Actually I saved the little parts. These are basically what failed, was these little pieces here, and replace them, and these little O-rings, replace them. So this was the replacementkits.com kit, $29.
And you watched several YouTube videos of people who had instructional videos out.
Yep. They didn't always agree, and sometimes they actually completely disagreed, but by comparing all the different tutorial videos and a few written guides, I was able to solve things.
Yeah, and you kind of worked on it over several days, like an hour here, an hour there, and it really wasn't disruptive I mean, it was just kind of a nice project to work on. I did kind of insist, like, come Friday or Saturday, like, get this done so I know we can leave.
Yes.
Like, please get it done. But yeah, once he got it done, then you have to reprime the whole system, get the pressure back.
Get the pressure back and get the air out of the hydraulic lines.
And this is what Hinckley said you absolutely needed the professionals for. Well, they have a pump for that.
They have a special pump that would reprime the system. But that actually wasn't the hardest part. But it required teamwork. It was like, one person is turning the steering wheel and the other person is venting air out from various places. But again, teamwork, and we did it.
Yeah,
so
it's just I just had to sit up there 60 times, turning the wheel each direction while he's doing his thing down there, and we got through it. It was fine. And then now we have steering.
So I think we can declare mission accomplished. We just finished purging the air from the lines and repressurizing our fluid reservoir, and everything seems to test out good. So steering project, I think we are victorious. Fingers crossed that it continues to work well out on the water.
$33 and some blood, sweat, and tears.
Not bad deal. Yeah, there's the reservoir. And so and we just proved it because we have we have left Charleston. So that was like, I guess, the end of that next chapter, and now we are officially back on the Great Loop, making new miles northward.
We have resumed our personal Great Loop. We have been on the Great Loop since we left Jacksonville.
Yes.
But we have officially resumed where we left off.
So we're making fresh miles.
Yes. So just a quick recap. We had gotten to Charleston, had some family issues, medical issues that had us turn back, and then a pandemic hit. So that is why we are restarting the loop at this point, and we will have a video out probably after this one, kind of recapping what the Great Loop is and
why we are doing
why we're doing it, and kind of our intentions with it this attempt.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. One other video that we have is another thing we did in Charleston is we took advantage of Charleston has an Apple store walking distance to the marina. So we bought 2 new iPads, the new iPad Air and then iPad M4, iPad Pro M4, the 2 brand new models, and compared them which one is best as our chart plotter, because they're our main navigation system. It's time to upgrade. So we've got a video coming out on that and our head-to-head testing.
I think that video will be out by the time this one comes up. So
yeah, look for that one.
We'll see.
Okay, so stay tuned.
All right, so we are back on the Great Loop. The videos from here forward will be about resuming our Great Loop.
Whew, that was an exciting one.
We create these videos just for fun, and we love having you along for the ride. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, or if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. See you next time.